Mayor Jon Lindgren, a man I describe frequently as bigger than life. He was a great. I'm glad I met him when I came here in 1989, and he served as the second most years or terms as mayor behind Herschel Lashkowitz, and then there was a one-termer, Richard Hinkes, and I just want to say hello to you, Mayor. Welcome back to the Drive Time News Hour.
Well, my pleasure to talk to you again, Jack, and to talk to all the folks around the Fargo Upper Midwest area. Great.
How long did you know Herschel Lashkowitz?
Yeah, Herschel. Well, boy, you go back to 1974. He was defeated as mayor, so I knew him before that, some years before that, and then, I can't remember when he died, but after he was mayor, and he was state senator for a long time, and then he was around Fargo a long time after that. So, 20 some years, I suppose, or 20, 30 years.
I was fascinated with your description I heard on KFGO News where you said he was a political force not dissimilar from Donald Trump. He was a political force.
Yeah, he had sort of certain ways of operating that were ring a bell, and they're not the only political people that do that. But he had a way of bringing attention back to himself because he had certain things he wanted to do and how he wanted to do them, and he had a knack, a skill, and a nerve to do that, and he was a fascinating man, and I'd have to say a big force, and why Fargo is the wonderful city that it is today.
I wonder how he may have faced some of the issues you faced as mayor and what Mayor Mahoney is facing today, for instance.
Well, it's hard, the times are so different. So when he was mayor, there was a lot of tension between labor unions and I guess what you call business owners or management. And so that was a big thing. And then there were veterans issues that he was involved in and those kind of things. So he was a force there. For example, I think there was a long, I don't remember that happened when I was involved there, but there was a long question about liquor licenses, who could have them, and when they had a tinge of labor or sort of populist constituency to them, then there would be forces in town trying to stop that, and then he was always championing the kind of little guy, you might say, and so, but that was all different by the time I was mayor, and of course, is much different today.
And actually, I think the High Rise, for which is in his name, actually was a pretty progressive idea for back in 1970 or so, wasn't it? Providing housing for people who needed it.
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, that was, socialism. Even though that word is used today, it had a ring of, it was sort of synonymous with communism or back at that time. And so there were forces in Washington trying to provide housing to people and passing legislation so there was money, and then local entities like Fargo had to apply for that money and put up some money themselves. And so there was opposition here in Fargo, opposition across the country, and then also the building for what the proper word is up on North Broadway, the disabled citizen building. That was another building like politics and opposition and so on. So. But Herschel was way out in front on those, and they got built, and good for Herschel, good for the city, and they lived and served a long time. The Lashkowitz High Rise, and its time is up, but it was a big service to people in the city during its lifetime.
In my mind, and I just want to remind people who may not be aware that Mayor Jon Lindgren, in my mind. Among your legacy is Pride Week. You proclaimed, was it gay and what was the week awareness week called back when you instituted that?
Gay and Lesbian Awareness Week was the term that I often used to differentiate it a little bit from what was being used in larger cities. But yeah, and so that was hugely. And then interestingly, Herschel was around then, and he did not like what I was doing there. I don't know, John, that's just a little far out there, and yeah, Herschel, a little different times, and so on. But yeah, so I did that 10 years, and the first several years were terribly controversial, but I think now it's done routinely.
John, you were woke before woke was cool.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your time with us. I hope we could do it again.
Well, I would enjoy it whenever, and I'm glad that you're back on the air, and Fargo is better for you being there, and that's wonderful to talk to you.
See you later, Your Honor. 23 minutes after 5, this is The Drive. Time, News Hour on 790. On 7.